This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, April the 28th, 2022. And you know what? Oh, he ran away. Oh, I was going to try to get Skittles on screen. Folks, it's not the first time. Everybody loves it when Skittles comes on here. Black and white cat named after those colorful candy. He was a rescue already named. But folks, I do have a wonderful guest on here looking extremely classy. Extremely classy. And judging from pictures on Instagram, she did not get that wardrobe from the Trailer Park Boys at all. Folks, I give you the lovely, very classy Lenore Zann. Zann's how you pronounce your last name, right?
We say Lenore Zann.
Zann, okay. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
I don't really mind. I don't really care either way, but it's Zann.
Lenore Zann, let me correct you. Let me correct me.
No worries. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And yeah, you just got back from a big trip. I know you're involved in politics right now. Show some of that off there right now.
Well, this here is my member of parliament pin.
Yeah.
You get that and you have it for life, and it gets you in and out of the parliament buildings in Ottawa. And this is a snazzy new jacket I just bought. This got the emblem of the House and the Senate on it. And yeah, I just went to Ottawa for a week and met with the Prime Minister privately and with the Minister of Environment and a number of other MPs to talk to them about my bill on environmental racism and a national strategy to address environmental racism and environmental justice. And it's going to pass. It's been reintroduced and it is going to pass. I've got enough support now from the different parties and from the government and the Prime Minister that I believe it's going to go all the way through this time, which is very exciting.
I'd like to talk to them about my bills, about not paying them.
Bill, yeah, way a different kind of bill. Yeah, I've got a few of those other ones too.
You know, I was watching Happy Birthday to Me this afternoon. Look at that.
Oh wow, that was a while back.
Yeah, and I can't help but thinking that Melissa Sue Anderson's mom, if she had had that pen, she might have had no problem getting into that top 10, right?
True, that's true. Yeah, where did we shoot? We shot that in Montreal.
Montreal, yep.
That was 1980, I believe.
Yeah, I got Lisa's signature on there. You can see it there very briefly. Yeah.
She's beautiful. She's always been beautiful. I love her.
Yeah.
We had a blast on that show. That was I think it was my second movie at that time.
Yep.
I had just turned 20. It was my second movie. I did The Hounds of Notre Dame out in Saskatchewan, which was not that was not a horror film. And then I did that one, and then Visiting Hours with Michael Ironside. And then I did one called The Black Mirror, the Miroir Noir. And that one never was released, unfortunately, but it was really good. Took place in a prison, in the Petit Bastille prison in Quebec City, based on a Jean Genet play called Haute Surveillance. And it was about women in prison. And Louise Marlowe was a star of it, Alberta Watson, and myself. And it was a really good movie. And it's too bad I had the lead role in that, and it never did come out. It's a shame. I was just 20. I did 4 movies that year, and then a whole bunch of other horror films after that, because that's what we were doing back in the 80s in Canada.
Is Pierre Trudeau a fan of your movies?
You mean Justin?
Justin Trudeau. What is wrong with me? Justin Trudeau.
I did meet Pierre many years ago. And I mean, he dated a few actresses, Margot Kidder.
I love Margot Kidder.
Yeah, he dated her. And apparently Justin told another friend that she was really, really lovely and really good to the kids when they were little, and they really loved her. She had some mental health issues, unfortunately, but she was a lovely person, and he was a really nice man. I met him maybe twice and really enjoyed meeting him. But Justin is a lovely person. His son, the Prime Minister of Canada now, is a lovely person. I don't think he's seen my movies, but he's a big fan of the X-Men. He loves the fact that I'm back in the X-Men again, although he says they miss me terribly in Ottawa. So there you go.
My favorite X-Men is Mystique,
Oh
but I
yeah,
liked her
mother.
played by I liked her played by Rebecca Ronjan. Liked her played
Yes.
by her.
She didn't
Yeah.
look too bad either.
No, but one of the things I hated about Jennifer Lawrence playing her
Yeah.
is that Jennifer, she was too many times she was shown as Jennifer Lawrence. And it's like,
Okay.
okay, we know where you get a celebrity in this movie. I want to see Mystique.
Right.
And it took me out of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So I liked it when Rebecca played her, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So of course she's my evil mother, my adopted mother,
mm-hmm.
right? Rogue's mom.
But I think one of my favorite X-Men related movies was Logan. I thought that movie was so I was blown away by that one.
I'll have to see it. I haven't seen that one. You know, I've got Disney Plus now. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking I will now be able to watch a whole bunch of movies that I was just too busy working at the time over the years to really see them. I saw some of them, but I didn't see all of them. So
Yeah.
take a look.
Well, I'll tell you my little bit backstory. I've lived here in New Brunswick my whole life. I'm going to be 50 this July. And
Oh,
I never,
okay.
yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I always tell people I wasn't outside New Brunswick. I've been to Prince Edward Island when I was young, and I almost count that as part of New Brunswick, even though it's not. It's not that far.
It's the Atlantic provinces.
Yeah. But I mean, my brother's wife lives in our family is in Nova Scotia, but I've never been there either. But
Hmm.
it wasn't until 2017 that I got on a plane for the first time, the only one in my family to do so.
Mhm.
And I went to Toronto and I started this podcast. Well, I was doing it at UMB, University New Brunswick. And
Right.
I was doing it at CHSR down on campus. And I kind of fell into the podcasting thing after an interview with Tommy Wiseau from The Room.
Mhm.
And it's like, who else can I do this with? And I started reaching out to other people. And one of the first people I reached out to was Lisa Langlois, because I love the movie Class of 1984.
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And anyway, she got back to me and I made arrangements with her manager,
Mhm.
who still sends his clients my way.
Mhm.
And I had her on the show twice, once in 2015 and once in 2017. In 2017, we got talking about travel because she had just moved back from California to Toronto.
Right.
And she asked me, what's stopping me? And she invited me to assist her at Horrorama in Toronto.
Oh,
I couldn't say no to that.
so did you go?
Oh, yeah. It changed my life.
Excellent.
Because I had worked at our family's spring water plant for 19 years until both folks fell terminally ill and had to sell the company. So at the time, I was on unemployment and I was debating, do I accept this invitation? And somebody at CHSR had said to me, says, look, Greg, you don't have any kids, you don't have a wife, and right now you're not working. Go.
Mhm.
When I got back from Toronto, I could have been on UI or EI, excuse me, for a year. But it's like I wanted to go back so badly. I got a job as soon as I could.
Mhm.
And I flew Porter Airlines, loved it. Loved Porter.
Mhm.
And it was my first time on a plane. I didn't know what I was going to think of it. It turns out it just felt like a bus in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And we landed, and Lisa kept in touch with me by cell phone, and she met me at Union Station there.
Mhm.
It was interesting seeing her face to face as opposed to on a screen.
Right.
And she taught me all about using the subways, which we don't have here, the
Mhm.
streetcars, which we don't have here. And every time I go to Toronto, I always hook up with Lisa. I save my scene points for my movies
Yeah.
for Toronto.
Okay.
Yep. And I always say it, tell Lisa, pick some movies, we'll go to the movies.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Lisa's become a dear friend.
right.
And I usually call her about once a week. And yeah, Lisa's fantastic. And I had so much fun at Horrorama. And I made so many other connections.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, people
So,
that go to the Comic Cons and things like that, they're really fun-loving people and they are so creative, right? They have great
mm-hmm,
imaginations. I've only just started going. The X-Men, we were invited to come to a few just before the pandemic started. So it was an eye-opener. I'd never really been. And when we went, we were invited to go to the one in Los Angeles. There were like 100,000 fans there. And that was when we suddenly realized that our show had been such a success. Like we had no idea. They didn't tell the Canadians that the show was so big. And over all of this time, we kind of like we thought, oh well, it did all right, but we got paid once years ago, and then we kind of went on about our ways, and we didn't really hear anything more about it. But my gosh, it so many people have said it changed their lives, and that that they learned that it's okay to be different, and that they would race home from school, and that it really helped them deal with bullying or LGBTQ issues if they were trying to find themselves, or even kids that had were on the autism spectrum. They love the show. So it's been very exciting starting to get into that world. And then of course COVID happened. So I'm looking forward to starting to go back out again. I'm heading out to Iowa in June, and we're going to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Bangor, Maine, and
mm-hmm.
one other place I can't remember off the top of my head, but a number of them have asked us to come. So it's going to be fun now that things are lifting and shifting a little bit. I've got my mask, I got everything ready. And but I can't wait to go out and meet the fans again.
I should just give me a sec. I'm going to show you a special mask I have made last
Okay.
time I was in Toronto. You'll love this.
Okay. So what's he going to bring, folks? Have you seen it yet? Have you seen him in his mask, his new mask? We'll have to have a look and see what it's made out of. What is it?
As I said, Lisa and I are really good friends. I did Frightmare in the Falls last year,
Yeah.
and we went to a t-shirt place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
That's Lisa from class of
Oh my
1984.
God. Where did you find it?
I didn't find it. I had it made
Oh, you had it made.
at that
Oh.
whatever t-shirt store because I didn't know my way to
That's
Niagara
hilarious.
Falls.
Wow.
So I rented a car and Lisa drove,
Yeah.
and she had a friend she was going to stay with down there, and I stayed at a hotel,
Yeah.
and I did the con Frightmare in the Falls. But on our way, we stopped and we had t-shirts done and we had these done.
And what does it say? I can't see what it actually says.
It says Elizabeth Taylor, moi. Yeah.
Right
You
on.
did you see Class of 1984?
You know what? I think I was supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
I back then, because I remember there was something about that movie. I think I was supposed to be in it, but I couldn't because I was in Los Angeles at the time and I couldn't fly back. I was waiting on another movie. We were
Mm.
both doing a lot of films at that time. And I was disappointed because one of the things I would have loved to work with her on that one, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't. But I was just thinking, you know what would be a good mask? It would be the picture from the poster of Happy Birthday to Me with the pishish kebab. That'd be a good mask. There you go.
Yep. There you go. Yep.
That's Matt Craven. He's gone on to do a lot of things since.
Hmm. Well, probably not working as a chef.
No, I think he's doing a lot more things, acting. Yeah, but no,
But
that was a fun movie.
yeah, but I always make my arrangement and a place to stay when I go to Toronto. But I remember the first time down there, Lisa met me at Union Station,
Hmm.
and second time I went there was 2018, and she met me there in her car because she was running fast and this and that. But the third time I almost didn't go. I went and did Comic Con
Hmm.
and in Toronto, and I almost didn't go because Lisa was in Los Angeles at that time.
Hmm.
But Lisa urged me to go
That's good.
because she said that I would increase my my brand.
Right.
But but that wasn't one of the only things that I think she was doing.
She was trying to get you out and about to see the
See
world.
how I was going to do on my own.
Yeah, for sure.
And she called me that weekend. I told her, I said, "You taught me well."
Good. Yeah,
Yep.
getting out and meeting people, talking to people, it's all important. I mean, the same with acting, to be honest, which has, again, the pandemic has made it hard for people because a lot of, I think that when you get roles, it's oftentimes from meeting people, talking to people, seeing what they're doing, at film festivals, different festivals and stuff, and that all shut down, there's only so much schmoozing you can do on a Zoom chat,
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, she's become a dear friend, and she's connected me with a lot of people. You're my third interview from Happy Birthday to Me.
Right on. Who was
Yeah,
the other one?
I've interviewed Leslie Donaldson on here a couple
Oh, nice.
times.
She's great too.
Yep.
You should try and get a hold of Melissa Sue Anderson.
I would love to have her on.
Yeah, or the other girl, the other one that was the American girl on it. She was really nice.
Tracy Bregman.
Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to get her too.
She's on
Yep.
Twitter.
Oh, is she? Well,
Yeah.
Twitter's how I got Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter on here.
Cool.
That was an interesting catch.
That's very cool.
Yep. Well, I do tribute interviews of people who have passed away.
Hmm.
So I had Hitchcock's granddaughter on here, and that was the first time at the station out of everybody I've interviewed. This is the first time my station manager looks at me and says, "How did you get Alfred Hitchcock's granddaughter?" Yep,
Cool.
that was the one.
Very cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I watched Happy Birthday to Me this afternoon. It got a nice release here.
Hmm.
Yep, and anyway, I watched it this afternoon. Love the old Canadian movies. I miss the whole tax shelter days. I'll tell you that. Back with Cronenberg and people like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
Tax write-offs for dentists, I used to call those movies.
absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah, I did a million of them.
yeah.
Did you ever see
And
Bells, but with Richard Chamberlain?
what's that?
Did you ever see Bells with Richard Chamberlain?
I haven't seen that one.
I was in that one. I got blown up by a telephone. This
Oh,
massive.
it's you mean Murder by Phone?
Oh yeah, there. Yeah, it's right. They changed the name.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just looking the trailer up to that today.
Okay, I was in that one too.
I want to see that.
It's good. The
Okay.
music, it's not as good as Happy Birthday to Me or Visiting Hours. Visiting Hours was a really good thriller as well,
Mm-hmm.
and has remained so.
Mm-hmm.
One of those classics. I have a really dear friend who's in Children of the Corn too.
Uh-huh.
He played Malachi in that, Courtney Gaines.
Okay.
He was also in The Burbs, and he was in Sweet Home Alabama. He's been in a lot of different things. Memphis Belle, but he became a very dear friend in Los Angeles when I was in my 20s. He was in his late teens, and I think we met on a film set somewhere, and we just really hit it off. But so boy, he's had a great career too. And when I got married one year, I was doing some theater here in actually in Prince Edward Island. I was doing Charlottetown Festival. I was playing Priscilla Presley in the musical Are You Lonesome Tonight, about Elvis Presley. And
You mean it wasn't The Naked Gun?
no, it was a music. It was a musical called Are You Lonesome Tonight? And so Courtney hitchhiked all the way from California to Nova Scotia for the wedding.
Wow.
And yeah, and then I gave him my car, and I had a cottage over in PEI where I was staying while I was doing the show. So I said he loved lighthouses. He wanted to see lighthouses. So I said, here's the key to the car. Here's the address to this cottage. You go have the cottage, because I'm going to go off on my honeymoon, right? So I went off for a honeymoon for a week, and he went off to PEI, scared everybody all the way along when they'd see him with their long red hair. And he looked exactly like his character Malachi, and he was a scary dude in the movie, but the sweetest person in real life, you know.
Mhm. Well, watching this today, I find the advertising interesting. 6 of the most bizarre murders you'll ever see. A little false advertising there, because not all of them were most bizarre. There
Yeah,
were some of them that were, I will admit, but especially this one.
yeah, yeah. That was
Yeah, I
well,
do I do not bite stuff off of shish kebab after this movie.
well, I'll tell you, you should have been there at lunch times on the set when everybody was made up with all their different makeup, especially when they did the scene where everybody was sitting around the table at the end.
Hmm.
And I wasn't in that scene, of course, but I don't think, and neither was Lisa, or was she? Did Lisa
Nope.
get killed in that movie?
You and Lisa got to
We did.
live.
Yeah, we got to live in that one. That was good.
Yep.
But I'll tell you, at lunchtime with everybody all made up with their horrible, grotesque, murdered faces and everything, the crew didn't want to eat with the actors. They couldn't eat and look at them. But being an actor, we were like, oh yeah, we'll hang out with you. We know it's just paint.
Lisa said she was supposed to have a death scene in it, but it would have given the movie an X rating.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
So it didn't it got cut, so she
Oh,
got to live.
really? Okay. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. But she yeah, you and her and the jokester guy, what was his name? David
Jack.
Eisner.
Oh yeah, David Eisner, right.
Yep. Y'all got to live. And of course Melissa Sue Anderson, obviously,
Yeah.
but so only, well, 6 of them got offed.
Yeah, it was a pretty brutal movie. I don't really particularly enjoy horror films myself. I don't really watch them, but I did make a lot of them, and sort of became known as the Scream Queen, the Canadian Scream Queen, for a while there
Hmm.
in the 80s. But I was sorry that we weren't making more sort of serious dramatic things. Like, I was sorry that we were just doing these horror films. I wanted to really get some juicier roles, and it was harder as a young woman because we were doing so many of these horror films, and they were just kind of killing us off. And I mean, there's only so much you can do in that. Like, I really felt like I missed out on some better opportunities that maybe younger people in the States were getting, but we weren't getting here in Canada.
Yeah, but Lisa said something similar.
Yeah.
But she said out of everything in her career, it's these movies she gets asked about.
That's true. Well,
You
these
know.
movies and the animation, like for me, the X-Men, of course,
Hmm.
that stuff, people, I mean, X-Men ended up being one of the top 2 animated series of all time. And we didn't know, and it's all Canadians in that original show, like all of us. And they went after top actors, like people who weren't just voiceover actors, but were theatrical actors who had theater, film, television, radio backgrounds, who could really get into a character and really express it in a realistic way. And that was actually a really fantastic opportunity. And that was for 5 years that we did that. And that was also 30 years ago. So, this last election, I won 4 elections in a row when I went into politics, 3 provincially and then 1 federally. And then the last federal one I lost, but I was depressed for a few days, and then suddenly I got an email from a producer of Trailer Park Boys.
Love them.
Barry Dunn, who was one of the producers of Trailer Park Boys, and he said, "Lenore, we're so sad that you lost your seat. You're a champion for the arts and the environment and human rights and everything." He said, "But does this mean now you can be in my movie that I'm about to do?" And he said he's doing a feature film called The Madones about 3 sisters named Madone, who had a rock band at one point, and then it fell apart. And you don't know why in the beginning, but by the end of the movie, you find out why. And it's this delightful script, sad, poignant, funny, everything. And he said, "I want you to be one of the lead roles in it." So I read the script and I'm like, yeah, I'm in. So that happened. And then a couple of weeks later, I got another email from a woman who was a casting director in Hollywood saying, "Hey, I'm so glad we tracked you down to Nova Scotia. I'm working with Marvel and Disney, and we are wanting to do an animation series." She wouldn't say what it was in the beginning, but we want you. So would you give us a call and have a chat with me and have a chat with the producers so we can tell you more? And I'm like, absolutely. And it turned out in the end, it was rebooting the X-Men from the 90s. And they're doing a whole new bunch of seasons. And they wanted me to reprise my role of Rogue after 30 years.
There you go.
Yeah, why not, sugar? Let's call it, bring it on. So within the last few months, I've done a feature film and started recording the animation for the Disney show, and it will be called X-Men 97. Both of them will be coming out next year, 2023.
So did Barry Dunn get you to be in a Trailer Park Boys episode?
No,
Why not? I want to see that.
that's over. It's like it's done. They're not doing any more episodes.
They're doing stuff online
They're
though.
doing other stuff. Yeah, but he's not involved with them now. He did the series. He did the original series, but now they're doing their own thing, and he's doing his own thing. So he's got his own production company, and he's doing this feature film that he wrote, directed, and produced. So, yeah,
I love the Trailer Park Boys.
pretty exciting. Yeah, they're funny. I've
Yeah,
met them in real life, and they're not like their characters either. They're really sweet guys as well. Yeah.
I discovered Rob Wells is from Moncton.
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
like, wow, Yeah. I tried to get somebody from them on the show, and it's hard to do, but I did get somebody from Swearing at the movie
Yeah.
on here, and that was interesting because Swearing at has gone down to have more f bombs than any movie in history, 935.
Yeah. Really? Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, take that, Wolf of Wall Street. You're not the champion anymore.
Well, funnily enough, I also the studio that I'm using to record my X-Men stuff is in the same building as the SwearNet building that the Trailer Park Boys own. And so it's called the Hideaway Studios. So I go in there and I do my Rogue X-Men stuff there. My daddy liked to kill himself when he found out I was a mutant. So it's fun. It's fun to be back in the saddle. Got a new
Hey,
agent too. I've got a new agent in Toronto.
awesome.
For 12 years, I just sort of stopped focusing on acting and was just into the politics, and had a lot of serious issues that I was taking care of. I did do a couple of films during that time, but I said I can only work acting if you shoot me on the weekends and my days off, because I had a steady gig that was really important to me and I didn't want to mess with that. But so I did one called Trigger, which was a Bruce McDonald movie. He did Highway 66, I believe, several years ago, but this one was called Trigger. We shot that in Toronto. So they flew me up on a Friday afternoon and flew me back on a Monday. Shot it, became a rock and roller on the weekend. and then I did one called Stage Mother with Tom Fitzgerald. And that's now out on, I'm trying to think, it might be, well, it's online. It's you can watch it online, but it's called Stage Mother, and it's Jackie Weaver and Lucy Liu and Adrienne Grenier.
Oh, that's right. I was looking that up earlier and I was like, who was in that I noticed? And yeah, what was it like working with Lucy Liu?
She's lovely.
Love
She's
her.
really lovely. Yeah. And Jackie Weaver's fantastic too. She's in Yellowstone right now.
Actually, my friend Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, she's got one, maybe two children that are in Yellowstone.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Where does she live?
She lives in Glendale, California.
Okay. Is that where they shoot that?
Huh?
Is that where they shoot it?
I don't know. But Nancy's somebody who's kept in touch with me, and I haven't met her face to face yet, but she's one of these ones that occasionally she'll call me and she's okay with me calling her, and we're good like that. Lisa I have met though, so
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. But
yeah, but no, it's a really lovely movie, Stage Mother. And Jackie Weaver, she was also nominated for an Academy Award for Silver Playbook Lining.
Silver Linings Playbook. I interviewed Bree B, who was the cheating wife in the movie. She is a delight. I gotta say, she's very young at heart. Not at all like the character you see in the shower there.
Right. I can't remember that part, but I'll tell you, yeah, Stage Mother is really good. And then this one, and then this new one called The Madones. So keep an eye out. It'll be at some film festivals, either later this year or early next year. And then it's got broadcasts already. It's got distribution. It's going to be good.
So did the Trailer Park Boys vote for you? I saw that picture.
Did you? Well, to be honest, they didn't live here in my writing. They were shooting here. They were back when they were doing Trailer Park Boys. They were shooting in my writing, but they didn't live here.
That's no excuse on their part.
But I did have a lovely make-believe conversation with them when we were taking those shots, where I was saying, now, gentlemen, I'm running for your member of the Legislative Assembly here. And, I have a lot of issues that you might care about. And so I think Julian was like, oh yeah, like what? And I said, well, like for instance, what about making marijuana legal? I think that would be a good one that you boys might care about. And he says, and he goes, well, now, wouldn't that put me out of business? I'm like, yeah, maybe it might put you out of business, but anyway, it was cute. They're really sweet. I met them again. I was invited backstage to a Jackson Browne concert when he was in town a number of years ago, and they were performing with him for a few songs, kind of for fun. So I saw them backstage with Jackson Browne. We got a great picture with them, the Trailer Park Boys, me, Jackson Browne, and Randy, the guy with the
Yep.
big. Oh my God. And he's there with his big belly and a beer in his hand, Jackson Browne, and me and the rest of them was backstage. It was hilarious.
Fortunately, we lost John Dunsworth, who was
Yeah.
so good in that.
I know he was, and a lovely guy. He was in one of the first plays I ever did. He was in a number of theatrical productions that I did. Really lovely man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you did Happy Birthday to Me, was it a standard audition you got the part?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
You had
was.
to work with Lee J. Thompson or J. Lee Thompson, who did Cape Fear and
Yeah.
movies like that. This was something different for him. What was it like working with him as a director?
Well, he's kind of a brilliant director, right? So it was an honor, really. Did he also do the Grapes of Wrath? Did he do that one? He
I
did
don't
like he did
remember.
some really
Just a second here. I'm gonna click his name on here.
other really well-known famous movies. And of course, when we worked with him, he was a lot older.
Yeah, he did. Oh, Guns of Navarone.
Guns of Navarone. Okay.
Yeah, he did that.
What
Yeah,
else? What else did he do?
we did Guns of Navarone, Cape Fear. That one I recognize. Oh, I don't recognize any of his other titles.
That must be the one I was thinking. Grapes of Wrath, Guns of Navarone, similar. But he was quite brilliant. But I'll tell you, with that one, it's so funny because his biggest direction always in every scene was more blood, more blood. which I quote that now sometimes. I like when someone says, "Oh yeah," and then the director said, I go, "More blood." But no, a good director casts well and knows that you can what you're doing and leaves you to your own devices pretty well. But if you come to them and you need some help knowing some of the background of the character or whatever, they can also help with that. But I tend to be pretty good working on my own as long as everybody's, doing their job.
There were a lot of scenes that how do I play this off? That I want to use the word false scares, but that's not really
Yeah.
it. This happened quite a bit in the movie. It happened with David Eisner, and it happened with you in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Where you think somebody's dead and they turn out not to be dead. They did that a number of times in this movie, I noticed,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I questioned the scene, for example, where they find the head of Leslie Donaldson. Of course, it's resulted, it was prosthetics and the head mold and stuff. And I'm like, with Jack Blum's character being so odd, did he actually convince her to do a head sculpt?
Right.
There's some stuff in this movie where I was really scratching my head. Like, even I won't give away the third act, but even that had me scratching my head like, okay, there's some parts of this that don't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, so I can't remember all of it, but I do know that when it came to the Maritimes here in Truro, it came to the cinema here in downtown Truro, and there are pictures of my dad and the Norman Hines, who was he was a teacher at the high school here, and he directed all the school musicals every year. And he had cast me in my first role when I was 15 playing Adelaide in Guys and Dolls.
Hmm.
And so the two of them were so excited that I was in a movie. It was my first, first big movie. And there it was. So they put Happy Birthday to Me starring Lenore Zann up on the, on the, with the letters and everything right downtown Truro. It was so cute. They were so sweet.
Yep. And were you there when they were making up anybody for the death scenes?
Yeah. Hmm.
Any stories there?
No, just how long it took. That stuff takes a long time, right? The only
Okay.
stories I remember is at lunchtime when nobody wanted to sit and eat lunch with them after they were all made up, you know, like the crew couldn't look at them. It was very realistic. It was very realistic, but we were all actors and we were young and we had a great time. Montreal, 1980, fabulous.
I would have been 8 that
Like,
year.
yeah, it was a great year to be alive. It was a great year to be young and carefree and just starting out on a career. I started dating one of the crew members who was a lovely French guy named Pierre Charpentier, and learning French and just being in that environment in Montreal, after growing up first in Australia as a young kid and then Truro, Nova Scotia, and then landing a role of Marilyn Monroe in a rock opera on the life of Marilyn Monroe, where they found me in Charlottetown Festival, and then bang, suddenly going into all those movies. It was quite a time in Canadian cinema too. I believe like 1980, we also had the first Genie Awards. And
Okay.
I was asked to come and perform as Marilyn Monroe for those because they wanted to do an ode to like Hollywood, to old Hollywood. So Craig Russell, who was a female impersonator, well-known female impersonator at the time, he was in a movie called Outrageous, and he could play like 16 or 23 different women. He was amazing, and he became a very dear friend after we both performed. He played Judy Garland. He did his Julie Garland, and I did my Marilyn Monroe. And we did it at the Royal York Hotel. No, sorry, the Royal Alexandra Theater. And it was just packed with people, like, oh, incredible people. Pinsent and Chris Plummer and Bruno Gerussi and Donald Sutherland. All of these incredible people. And I was just 20, from Nova Scotia. And all of a sudden, everybody was coming up to me and wanting to talk to me. And they'd heard about my performance in the play and the musical. And then they saw me do it. And then, like I said, bang, suddenly I'm doing all these movies and television and flying around the world and flying back and forth between Hollywood and New York and Toronto and Nova Scotia. It was quite the life, I'll tell you.
I've heard a lot of stories about Glenn Ford on this movie. What was your recollection of him?
My recollection of him was that he seemed to be a nice man.
Hmm.
Had trouble with his memory. They had to have these cards there with his lines. I heard that he had a drinking problem. I also heard that he punched an AD in the face at one time too. And I was actually talking to that AD maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. They did a little reunion in Toronto of the Happy Birthday to Me cast and showed a screening of the movie. And he was there. He's like, yeah, do you remember when he punched me? I'm like, no, I don't remember that. But he said, yeah, he said he was drunk and we were trying to get him to do this or that or the other thing. And he got mad and just hauled off and punched me. And I was like, oh gosh, yeah, no, I didn't remember. I wasn't there for that one. So that's about all I know about that.
What about Melissa Sue Anderson? I know she had to travel all the way from that little house in the prairie, but she made it.
She was very quiet. I'm sure Lisa said the same thing. She
Hmm.
was very pleasant, very nice, but very serious, very shy. Didn't really want to talk to the rest of us. Took her lunch in her trailer. Didn't hang out with any of us. Just that movie, I believe, was her attempt to show people in Hollywood or wherever that she wasn't just a little goody two shoes, house on the prairie type, that she could do other types of roles, like more serious roles and creepy, crazy roles, which that one was. And I understand that desire and that need for an actor to show people I'm not just one thing. I know, because it's so easy to typecast people, and casting agents, they do that a lot. To me, it feels kind of lazy, actually, that they just go, oh, well, who's good for that kind of role? Oh, well, we'll just get so and so because they did it before. It's like, well, actually, a lot of us are extremely good actors and we can play many things. So, why don't you open up your mind a little bit and use your imagination, as opposed to just always going to the same type. So
Mhm.
some actors, we want to break out of that mold. And she wanted to break out of that mold of Little House on the Prairie at that time. So I think it meant a lot to her, and she was really serious. She wanted to do a good job, but she was also very, very quiet and very shy. And like I said, we didn't really get to know her too much at all.
Mhm. You had a lot of great Canadian talent. Lawrence Dane, of course, did Scanners same year.
Was Michael Ironside in that too?
No, no,
Oh,
but we'll get to him in visiting hours because he was
okay.
also in Scanners.
Okay, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he
That's
was in, oh, Scanners. I thought you was asking if Mike
no,
Ironside was
no,
in this. No.
Scanners. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yep. He was in Scanners. But yeah, you had a lot of great talent in this movie. Jack Blum. You had, of course, Lisa Langwell, Leslie Donaldson, and I had a great time with Lisa and Leslie at Horrorama. You'll notice right now on Facebook my cover picture as I'm being kissed on either side of the face by Lisa and Leslie.
Oh, that's cute.
Yep, that was the first year I went,
Well, I'll tell
and
you, Jack ended up being a director. Jack went on into writing and directing, and he did
mhm.
a TV series with his wife, Sharon Corder. Um, I can't remember the name of it, but it was something like Power Play or something like that. But it was really well done and very successful. And then they decided to do a movie, a feature film that they'd written called Babyface. And
Okay.
they wanted me to play the lead role in that. I believe I auditioned for it, but they said that they'd wanted me from the beginning. I was 37 when I did that.
So last year.
Yeah, exactly. Just before politics. And so anyway, but so Babyface ended up, James Galanders played my young boyfriend. I had a daughter in it, and it became this very strange and very dysfunctional love triangle, and also kind of a thriller. Went to the Cannes Festival, and so I got to get to the Cannes Festival for the first time in a movie, and that was quite an experience as well. We all went over and it premiered there. Adam McGoyan was the executive producer. It was really an interesting movie and a real challenge and great to do. And it kind of died. It didn't really go anywhere either, which was disappointing. But Jack, I loved working with him. He's just a lovely man, and he's started a big project where he brings Canadian movies to schools across Canada, to high school kids, to teach them to start to learn to love Canadian films, and to start to not just be stuck on the American stuff, because
I
it's so easy
agree.
to get lost, right? With America right there, it's like the elder statesman Trudeau said something. It's like living in Canada is like living next to a sleeping elephant. You feel every twitch and move, every twitch and turn, and it's like that with the film industry, right, and with the entertainment industry.
hmm Yeah, because I mean, movies like Mean Girls and Deadpool, they were shot here in Canada. Yep, but yet they're American movies, you know. So,
Yeah.
yep. But no, I haven't had Jack on here. One of these, I got to get some of these people on here because I'd love to ask some questions. Of course, Jack, of course, was in Meatballs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And of course, Tracy Bregman, of course, in this as well. You had a great cast in this movie, you know. Yep, everybody went on to
Yeah.
any thing in particular stand besides the dead cast sitting around the table to eat. Any part of the shooting stand out to you that was something unique happened or?
No, not really. Just the fun that we had. It was a really just a great group of people, and we all really gelled well. We gelled very, very well. Um, love was in the air. I mean, Lisa met her husband on that set too, the cameraman, who
Okay,
the father of her son.
I've met Emerson. I love Emerson.
Yeah, so
That's her son. Yeah.
so the father of her son was the cameraman on that movie, and they ended up falling in love and getting married
Mm-hmm.
and living together in Los Angeles and having their son. And as I said, I found this lovely French boyfriend, was my first French boyfriend, who was just delightful, who was on the crew and introduced me to Montreal. It was just so much fun, like a golden summer.
Yes, absolutely. I got to admit that opening when Leslie comes out of that building there on campus. I like that. Where was that shot? You said Montreal, but where?
I can't remember.
Because it was nice. It kind of reminded me of Animal House in a way, where they start up with the two walking across campus, and she
Yeah,
comes. Yeah,
it was a campus of a university, but I don't remember which one right now. I mean, it was a long time ago, 40 years ago, 42 years ago.
yeah.
A
No,
while.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Visiting Hours, of course, is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, which I find hard to believe considering you're only 39.
I know,
So
right?
I don't get that.
I cloned myself.
There you go. Visiting Hours, of course, a lot. This guy even makes fun of himself. Everybody has a laugh at William Shatner, regardless what he does. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that he can laugh at himself, kind of like Nicolas Cage kind of laughs at himself, you know?
He was nice. I liked him. We got along very well. He was really sweet. I had a couple of scenes with him,
Mm-hmm.
Shatner. He was lovely. And Michael Ironside, we got along great too. We, really, again, played this really scary, menacing role, but such a nice man. Just a
He
great guy.
looks like Jack Nicholson, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Looks a lot like Jack Nicholson. Of course, Lee Grant playing the heroine of the film.
fantastic. And Linda Pearl.
Linda Pearl, yeah.
But Lee Grant, I was a big fan of Lee Grant. She'd done a lot of really good movies and had quite a stunning career, and was a very vocal politically too. She was very passionate about many important issues. So I really admired her.
Yeah. Harvey Atkin was in the Speaking of Meatballs.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I just ordered the Blu-ray of this. It comes with Bad Dreams.
okay.
Both are on Blu-ray pack because where I'm working at the hospital now, I'm kind of like studying up. Like I watched Young Doctors in Love, and now I'm going to watch Visiting Hours, and this is my studying for my job.
Okay, well, there you go. That'll keep you going.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Harry Dean Stanton and Young Doctors in Love.
I'll tell
But
you. Yes, no, I was gonna just say that I had dinner with a friend who's on when I was in Ottawa this week. I had a dinner with a friend who's an actor on Transplant. It's a new TV series on CTV.
okay.
It's being seen, like it's got 147 different places it's being shown. And he was saying that when he plays one of the senior surgeons, and when they do the bodies there, they are anatomically correct dolls, like life-size dolls of the people, that the actors. So they're not like the real actors, they're talking or whatever, but when it comes to like doing the actual surgery, they train the actors who are playing it to how to actually do whatever surgery it is that they're going to be doing. And they use these anatomically correct bodies. And he said, when they cut into them, for instance, like there are all the organs there as if it was a real, and he said, and the body is breathing, it breathes and it pumps blood and everything. He said just recently he had to birth an anatomically correct puppet baby. He had to do a C-section on it, and he showed me the picture, and oh my God, it looks like a real baby. I mean, and he said it was breathing and everything, and it was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So he said, if people knew, he said, people probably just think that they're cutting to like a real operation somewhere, but it's just like so perfectly done. And whoever is making these anatomically correct bodies, that breathe and everything, they should get an award. Amazing.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about, of course, you have a very tense scene in Visiting Hours. Talk about shooting that.
Well, I had just broken my arm. I broke my wrist roller skating in Montreal up on the mountain. I had gone roller skating with my lovely French boyfriend. And I was new at it, and I fell and I broke my wrist. And I was in the middle of shooting this movie. And I had this very physical scene with Michael Ironside coming up. And I didn't want to tell the producers that I'd gone and broken my arm, because I was like, oh God, what are they going to say? So luckily my French boyfriend, Pierre, his roommate was a doctor, a young doctor. And he said, okay, Lenore, it's broken. Like they took me into the hospital and they said, yeah, it's broken. I said, well, so what do I do? He said, well, you should really have a cast on it. And I said, well, I can't, I'm in the middle of shooting. I can't suddenly show up with a cast halfway through the movie, unless it was like after that scene or something. So he said, well, I'll tell you what, we can wrap on like a plastic thing on your arm with bandages, with the heavy duty bandages. And that'll make you so that you don't like keep bumping it or anything, and keep it straight. And then you can unwrap it when you're on set. You can unwrap it and then no one will know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't bump it, or don't let anyone pull it or anything. So I had to take Michael Ironside aside and say, hey, Michael, before we did the scene, I broke my wrist. And so whatever you do in this scene, don't yank my wrist, like don't touch my left wrist. You can touch anything else or whatever, I'll go with it, but don't touch that one. And so we did that scene, and I had this broken wrist, and he was very good. He didn't go anywhere near it or anything. And so it was all acted. No actress was hurt during the making of this film. But oh my God, I'll never forget that. And then a lot of the other scenes too, I oftentimes put my thumb in my pocket and I would just keep my arm there. Like I didn't use that arm at all for the rest of the movie. Wow. There you go. Yeah, that was wild. I'll tell you something else that was interesting about that movie. I had signed a contract where I said I did not want to show any nudity in this film. And so it reached that scene, and again, suddenly on the day of, which is oftentimes what happens to young actresses, suddenly it was like the producer wanted to show some breasts in this scene, and it was a terrible, awful rape scene, and he wanted to suddenly show, like the guy was going to cut my shirt, my top down, and he wanted to show my breasts. And I said, no, no, I've already said I'm not going to do that. And the pressure was on, and they were like, well, come on now, Lenore, what are we supposed to do? Like, he's going to cut down and everything. Well, what are we supposed to show? I said, well, why don't you just pan up to my face and show what I'm feeling and what the woman is feeling, what she's actually going through emotionally. How about
Yep.
we do that instead? And that is what we did. And that's that scene. That's what happens. But I had to stand up for myself, you
I'm
know.
glad you did, because I mean, in Psycho, part of the effect of that scene, the shower scene, was the cuts, the
Mhm,
cuts, the
mhm.
cuts, you know?
Yeah.
All they have to do is show him swing the knife down, sound effects of the ripping as it shows your face. That
Mhm.
works. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, they love to try and titillate an audience, and they do try to take advantage of young women. And that was a perfect example. Again, I was 20 years old, but I was stood up for myself, and I've stood up for myself every single time since then, both in the arts and in politics, whenever
Mhm.
anybody tries to intimidate or bully me.
Actually, I was reading about you on Wikipedia, and to get a little background, and apparently somebody tried to use something like that against you. How grade 3 of somebody, you know? Mhm.
Politically, you mean? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It happened twice, actually. The very first time, there she is. Is that Skittles?
Skittles. Skittles, are you going to vote for Lenore?
She'll have to wait for a while because I'm not in right now.
Skittles, are you going to run for parliament? Skittles says he's too lazy.
Oh,
Skittles says he has to sleep on it. You sleep all the time, Skittles.
he's beautiful. He is lovely.
He's my buddy. He's a rescue.
Oh.
I've had guests that say to me, they say, had this great interview and he has a nice cat. People love Skittles.
Well, we love our animals, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I thought it was so elementary that somebody would use that against you.
Yeah, that was the very first time I ran in 2009.
Hmm.
When it was first announced that I was going to be running, one of the opposition parties, they sent a picture of me topless from the L Word, from a scene I had done in the L Word, a shower scene, and they sent it to the CBC 6 o'clock news, and they ran with it. Which, to be honest, I was really disappointed in CBC at that time that they even did that, because I'd done so many great shows on CBC. And CBC is all about the arts and culture, and yeah, I mean, anyway, the news ran with it. And they basically said, do you, what do you think about this woman running for office? And they came to Truro, all the cameras, all these different medias came to Truro, and they ran around and they tried to find all these little old ladies and ask them what they thought. And to a T, all the little old ladies said, "Are you kidding? She's an actress. This is the 21st century. Get over it." Right. And I won in a landslide, and then I won, like I said, 4 more times after that. So it didn't work. But every now and then they'll get this harebrained idea and they'll bring it up, and they didn't know that it's already been tried, and it's awful, and sometimes people will try and say, when they're trying to bad mouth me or try to smear me, like smear campaigns, they'll say things like, "Oh, well, she was a porn star," and it's like, no, come on. I did a bunch of movies and television and theater and animation and radio drama, won an ACTRA award in 1986.
Hmm.
I've been nominated for 2 awards for my feature films, all actually in the last 10 years. And yet they try and do that sort of thing to smear you. It's really sad, because the other thing is, I think we need more artists in politics. We need more people who think outside the box and who are creative, not just the same old, lawyers and teachers and doctors and this and that and the other thing. Like we need artists as well. And that sort of thing might scare them off from running if they think, oh, they're going to pull up some scene I did back 20 years ago. Like, who cares? It was a job.
Yep, I agree. I'd been a victim of this kind, not to that extent, but of this kind of thing before, where people are trying to one up you because they feel threatened by you.
True.
Yep.
It's true.
Yep, I've dealt with that. It's not fun.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When you were a kid, or
Not when I was a kid, like even doing a podcast like this, I don't compete with anybody when it comes to podcasting. I get along with a lot of podcasters, but you get people that either know you personally, that didn't take a liking to you, or people involved in projects you were involved with that see you're having success at something, even though I don't make money at this. And they try to put a hole in your boat, so to speak.
Real, like online, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what you described there sounds like to me like jealousy.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you're making a difference. You're trying to stand out. You're doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just keeping your head down and not being vocal. But I think it's great. Again, anything to do with the arts and trying to open people's minds up and get them to see different things, different movies, different television, theater, music, dance, art, reading, books. Any of it it's great. Keep it
Not
up.
only that, a lot of people don't even know where New Brunswick, Canada is.
Oh, well.
Especially when I interview people overseas, when I bring up, actually, you mentioned Australia.
Yeah.
Like, I'll mention that I've had Little Nell on from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mentioned New Brunswick. A lot of times they got to look that up. It's like, New Brunswick, Canada? Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We know.
I often joke when they said that the Ultimate Warrior, the wrestler, was from parts unknown. I'm like, he was from New Brunswick? Was he from here?
Well, The Rock, his family, his dad was from Amherst.
Oh, Rocky Johnson.
Did you know that?
I didn't. I know that Roddy Piper is from Canada.
Yeah. Well, his dad was a famous boxer, I guess, from Amherst. Yeah. So his people come from Amherst.
There you go.
Come to Amherst sometime and be feted by the community.
There you go.
Yeah.
Talk about murder by phone. Now, I haven't seen this, but whet my appetite for this one.
Well, it's about this very brilliant man who has kind of a he collects grievances. He collects grievances, and he retaliates in this way that he has discovered a way of having high frequencies over telephones to be able to kill people through these high frequencies into their brains via the telephone. And of course, this is back when we had like telephones, not cell phones. And so this is how he ends up getting revenge on people. So, and it's a twisted mystery. You're trying to figure out who it is and all that. And then you're wondering if he's going to get caught and all of that. And so I play a small role in that. I think I might have done that almost the same year as those other ones, or else the next year. I was 2021, something like that. And that's all I can remember. I remember though that I had to have a bunch of prosthetics on my forehead so that when I answer the phone, of course in my underwear, because aren't you always in your underwear when the murderer is going to murder you? I mean, right? So producers, tax write-offs for dentists. So so anyway, I had the prosthetics there with the squeeze, the blood thing that's going into the tube. And at the same time that when this explosion thing is supposed to happen, they had to like pump the blood through the thing in my head so that my veins pop open and the blood goes everywhere. And at the same time, I'm on this springboard and I had to like jump up and spring backwards.
Okay.
So let's just say they had to have a few of these little nighties in case it didn't go well the first time, right? So that I could change and do it a second or third time. I'm pretty sure I did it in the first take. I think we got it all in the first take, and they were quite pleased. But that was one of the most elaborate death scenes. Getting blown up by a telephone.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you survive Happy Birthday to Me.
Exactly.
What about DEF CON 4?
That was fun. I shot that here in Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 24 when I did that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was with the Donovan brothers,
Mm-hmm.
Michael Donovan and Paul Donovan. Michael's the producer and Paul was the director. Michael, the producer, went on to do shows like right now he's still doing This Hour Has 22 Minutes. So that is one of the longest running shows in Canada's history too. So he's still doing that. He had a company, they had a company, Salter Street Films, which they did that movie with me. They did a few other movies like Siege, a couple of other ones, sort of small movies. They ended up being really smart and they bought some sports broadcast networks. And in the end, they ended up being able to sell their company to another company. And they made good money on that. And they bought another company. And then they sold that one in the end. And they ended up with one called DHX. And Michael Donovan was then like buying and owning tons of children's animation and producing children's animation. So I started off with him in 1984 doing DEF CON 4. And then by the time I actually came back and moved home to Nova Scotia and started doing politics, in 2009, I had auditioned for an animation series that he was doing called Animal Mechanicals. So I ended up playing Island Owl, which is the narrator in Animal Mechanicals, which is, I believe, on Netflix now. It's for little children. It's a great little show about these little animals that go off on all these adventures and stuff. And so we had quite an interesting, from DEF CON 4 to Animal Mechanicals in 2009, we've had quite a good relationship. But DEF CON 4 was fun. We had Maury Chaykin in that, Jeff Pustel. Who else was in that? There was some other couple of guys, one guy from the States. It was fun, really great. I mean, riding around in a front end loader, driving over sand dunes by the beach and, popping up out of the floor and quaint little village huts. And it was a fun movie, like a futuristic Mad Max. It was Mad Max in Nova Scotia kind of movie. And I was the girl. I was the lead girl in a
There
little
you go.
girl outfit and dirty, and it was fun. Had a blast.
You mentioned that you've done some cons. What's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Well, the most interesting one was when a couple showed up and they were dressed like Rogue and Gambit. They had gotten married in those outfits. They had the tattoos of Rogue and Gambit, both of them, the same tattoo. And they wanted me to sign there by the tattoo, which, you know, it would wash off eventually. But
Oh
they,
no, they're gonna tattoo it on there.
okay, well, there you go. So
I know that.
okay, I signed that, and then I signed, you know, like pictures for them as well. But that was really sweet, and they wanted their picture taken with me. Like I thought that I mean, they were really, you know, they were serious fans. But I'll tell you the nicest thing about those Comic Cons really is when you talk to the people who say that they were either bullied or they felt alone or they felt different, and that we made a real difference in their lives. And that Rogue, for instance, you know, she can't touch anybody. She can never get intimate with anybody. So she's a loner,
Hmm.
you know, and a lot of people can relate to her because of that. And that really touches my heart because I'm a bit of a loner myself. So I know how that feels. So
I'm a loner, except when I get my cat around.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like my dog's snoring over there. She's asleep.
Do you have any charities that you want to plug and promote on here? And of course, your website.
Well, I mean, I just did I did one for Easter Seals. Easter Seals for, you know, kids who have disabilities and
Hmm.
who need they need all kinds of things to be able to be mobile and move around and stuff. I would say Easter Seals is a really good one. Um, one of the really sad things that happened for me this past year was that my young niece, who is 17, died of osteosarcoma, which is the same cancer that Terry Fox had, the marathon runner. And she was a gymnast. And she battled it for about 3 years, and she kept beating it. And in the end, about a year ago, we were told she we found out it had come back, and she had to have her leg amputated. And she just got her driver's license, you know, 16, just got her driver's license. And we thought it was behind us. And then she had to have her leg amputated. And here she is, this lovely young gymnast. And then sadly, after that, she was working on her prosthetic leg and walking again. And, you know, we all had hope. And then it metastasized to her lungs. And we were told she'd be gone by Christmas. And that was really, really hard. It was really hard to go through. And my family and I all just began really grieving. And so she passed away last summer. And
Hmm.
the Easter Seals asked me if I would come and do like a Comic-Con fundraiser for them for their, I think it was their 50th anniversary. Oh no, their 100th anniversary, their centennial. I was like, absolutely, like sign me up, because I've seen what it's like for young people to be struggling to walk and to move again. And they're being mobile is really, really important because that's their freedom, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'll go make a proposition for you,
Okay.
and I'll make a donation to Easter Seals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want you to send me the link to the web page.
Okay.
I do a charity challenge on here, and Lisa's one of the people that accepted this challenge. And for her, I donated to Single Moms Planet.
Mm.
You know, but what it is, remember the ice bucket challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just lost my dad to ALS, so
Oh, gosh,
yeah,
I'm so
he
sorry.
battled it. He battled it for 8 years. He just passed this past April 5th.
Oh, gosh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. That's a hard one.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was at peace with my dad though, so I'm
yeah.
happy there. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Just awful. I'm so sorry.
But after Robin Williams had passed,
Mm-hmm.
another one surfaced called the Doubtfire Face Challenge for suicide and depression awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't start this one, but I kind of took it and run with it. And I threw it out to some of my guests. And I've had a number of them do it, including Lisa. And it involves you videoing yourself. You take a pie in the face and you nominate 3 people.
Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. people in the arts and people of power or whatever, this would be a good way to get this out there. I'm actually, speaking of which, and this person will remain nameless, but there's a Canadian actress right now that Lisa's worked with before, whom I'm actually coaching through a severe depression right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She contacted me, and because she knows I had beaten depression a couple of times in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And she lost her stepdad, and she was very close with her stepdad, and she was struggling to get through it. And so I told her anytime she needs to talk, I'm here. And I met her when I was in Toronto, and she was very happy to be connected with me in that way. And the last text I got from her was a very positive one. She said that she was just thinking of me that day, and just was sending good vibes my way, which I thought was pretty cool, But I tell her that I'm praying for her, and there's days where she'll text me and she'll say, I could use some prayers today. Could you pray for me today? And I'll do that. I take this very seriously, and depression's something a lot of people don't take seriously enough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a number of actually, I threw it out to Leah Thompson on Cameo, and she did this challenge. She didn't have a pie. She had an ice cream though. She did that. It was pretty funny, but I thought if you was up for doing something like that, I'd make a donation to Easter Seals.
Well, you never know. I'd have to think about it.
Okay, give it some thought, but certainly I thought I'd throw that out there because that's very important. You say it's the same one that got Terry Fox.
Yeah. Osteosarcoma. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it in. He had to have his leg amputated, and then it went to his lungs and it killed him. He was only 19. Hard to believe, but he was only 19. And this type of cancer hits young, healthy people,
Mm-hmm.
which is just so, well, it's sad when cancer gets anybody, but it was really hard. But listen, I've got a low battery here that says my Mac will sleep soon. So
Sleep soon, like
yes,
my cat.
yeah, it says it's gonna sleep soon. So I should get going.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here today, and you got my vote.
Thank you. Well, I'm not running for anything right now.
You got my vote as a person.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure.
Yeah, just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Well, hi there, everybody. This is Lenore Zann, Rogue of the X-Men cartoon series, and I'm coming to you today talking to Greg Gilbert of the Python
Paradise.
Want me to do it one more time?
If you want to, go for it.
Hi there. This is Lenore Zann, and I am Rogue of the X-Men, talking to Greg Gilbert of the Python Paradise. Stay tuned, sugar.
Absolutely. I'm going to see too if I could maybe get you booked for Horrorama or Frightmare in the Falls, because
Sure.
Chris Alexander runs Horrorama, and James Ponce runs Frightmare in the Falls, and because might be interesting to meet some of your horror fans as well.
Sure, that sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
They do them
absolutely.
on weekends as well?
That's when I go. I do them, but
Okay.
that's when they have them, weekends.
Sounds good. Yeah, well, hook me up.
Well, I'll put a mention in for you and see what we can do.
All right, love. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me the honor.
It was great. It was so much fun. But yeah, this thing is going to die any minute here.
Well, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Work.
Absolutely.
Sorry about your
Absolutely.
dad.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Bye for now.
God bless you.
You too.